Hi, Kat. Good evening. I want to come on and respond to your discussion post. I really enjoyed it. I always do. I always enjoy your posts. But this one, how you started off with the theme is love in the library. I really like that. And like this, um, the last 2 weeks, that being like the overall theme. Um, Love and hospitality in the library. Um, I really liked when you said that you're a Girl Scout troop leader, but you didn't want to. You love it, but you don't want to feel like there's a sense of intrusion. Um, and without being a white savior, how can you positively engage in this opportunity as a volunteering leader? You're doing the work. You're already there. You're already showing up for them. Um, you're already doing the work. And I just want to say thank you for being there and just pouring into them, loving them, and caring for them. Um, yeah. So I love that everything you talk about, like you're putting into practice. And that's what we're supposed to be doing. We like everything that we're learning, everything that we're discussing, is going to help us as library professionals. Um, and not just us, but just everyone around us, our colleagues, our families, our friends. I think all of this information is not only for our profession; it's for our professional lives as well. Um, let me see. Think. Um, so you talked about the Project Ready module, and you talked about the retention issue, and how we're able to recruit for diversity, but we haven't been able to keep them. And when you said that, it was funny because I had just a group of my colleagues and I, the African Americans, were at lunch and we were talking, and we were talking to our human resources manager, and you know we were just asking like how is it trying to hire diverse staff. And when we were talking, I was only thinking about the amount of African American staff that we have, um, but we have a Native American on our staff. We have um, two staff members that are Asian. Um, so it made me feel good that um, our numbers have increased. 5 years ago, it did not look as diverse as it does now, and I really appreciate like the work. I was telling him I appreciate the work that he puts in, to find diverse staff and also keep them. So that's wanted to point that out. Um, in the Teach Truth article, um, I liked your comments, especially about the kids are invested in changing the world. And in my discussion post, I referenced the movie. It's an old movie, I think it's like the early '90s, called Serafina. Whoopi Goldberg is in it, but it's based in South Africa, and it tells the story of how these teenagers um, were fighting against apartheid and fight against racial injustice, and all of the things it just watched. All the things that they had to go through, being put in jail, being tortured, being killed. And one scene at the school, there was a riot, and of course, several of the teenagers were killed. And at the funeral, the pastor was saying, um, oh, I gotta find it. I'm sorry. It's a powerful movie. Um, the pastor says they fear you because you're young. They fear you because you are the future. How fearful they must be that they shoot you children. How powerful you must be that they fear you so much. You are powerful because you are the generation that will be free. And um, I thought about that when you made the statement that kids are invested in changing the world. Um, when you talked about, are we checking our biases? Are we checking our policies to say there's a better way? Um, I thought about Kelsey's post, and she talked about rebranding, and I really like that word um, about rebranding. Thinking about our policies and procedures in libraries, like how changing the language so that it's more welcoming. Um, more so for our BIPOC youth, but for everyone. I attended a 15-year anniversary celebration for a small library in Bennettsville, and the sign over the door when you walk in, it says "Welcome to everyone." And I just love that. That's what the library is supposed to be, a space for everyone to come in, um, no matter what they look like, who they are. The library is for everyone. Um, and then again, you talked about the teen advisory boards. I know we talked about this in another discussion post, how important those teen advisory board groups um, are in the libraries, how impactful they are, not just for the youth, but I think for the staff too. Making those connections and getting that engagement really does, I think, a lot for the staff and for the youth coming in. So I think those should always be a big thing in libraries. Um, when you talked about the counter storytelling article and um, how you went through like what the stock story was to the resistance story and then the emergent and transformative story, about having a white sounding name. um, I talk to my daughters about this all the time. My oldest daughter's name is Sarai, and it's spelled Syrai, and my youngest daughter's name is Nyla. And I was intentional about giving them those particular names, but my oldest daughter has always kind of struggled with when people would mispronounce her name or call her something else. She would never correct them, or um, so she started shortening her name, and I was just like, "Why are you doing that?" And she was like, "Well, mommy, they're not saying it right," or you know. Different things. So I said, you have to speak up. You have to speak up for yourself. Like, that's who you are. Your name, that's who you are. Um, so I really like that comment. And oh, and you talked about having pride in black sounding names, and I put a note here. I didn't appreciate this until I was much older. Of course, like I said, having my kids did give me an appreciation um, for naming them, for giving them the names that I did. Um, and I think the last thing you talked about was bias in the hiring process. And I just put a note here that I was going to talk to my human resources person to see how we can, you know, get more diverse staff into the library. And I actually, so we have a one last thing, I'm gonna go. We have a library development director position that has been open for a little while, and over the years it has been hard to get individuals into this position. And he asked me the other day, where can we post that, that I'm not posting? And I said, well, there's the Black Caucus of the ALA, but you have to pay. And he was like, well, I'll pay. We have a budget for that. And I was like, well, let's post there. Let's post the ALA. but especially to the Black Caucus, I would love to see a um, a diverse applicant or even manager in our department. That would be great. So, as always, I enjoyed your post. Thank you so much for sharing. And I know I've said this before, but I love your voice. I could listen to you do story times all the time. Take care, and I'll talk to you soon.